I remember the call. I remember where I was. I remember I was driving down 619 in the town that we live, and they call and they just give you information, and you have to find whatever you can, whether it's a receipt or a notepad or whatever you can. And for me, it was a receipt, and they're just jotting off or spouting off all of this information about a 4-year-old little girl and a newborn baby boy.
The county shows up, and this little girl comes walking up to our front door, a 4-year-old, as cute as can be. She walks in, she goes, "Hi, my name's Saya. Can I be your friend?" And then the little boy, Noah, came the next day, newborn. And the other 2 little boys, the older 2, were placed with another foster family that was nearby.
The transition of going from 2 to 4 is a lot for anybody. Going from 2 to 4 and they're kids that you knew nothing about, 24 hours prior. And they've already existed in the world for some time. It's crazy. And we were warned that the first 2 weeks are pretty chaotic. There's a lot of appointments and court dates and just transitions, and it took every bit of those 2 weeks plus about 4 weeks of just chaos. It was hard, but it was just amazing to see God show up in different ways through that time.
Man, there was a lot of things that Hope Bridge did. They dropped off care packages for the kiddos, which aren't some I don't know, cheap little rinky-dink things that you're like, somebody trying to check a box that you just toss in the garbage. These were nice care packages, nice diaper bags with needed items, toiletries, pajamas, diapers, you name it, things you really need in those, especially in those first few days when you might not necessarily have everything that you need, because you don't know the age necessarily of or the gender of the foster kiddo that is being placed.
They dropped off a gift card for our family so that we could have dinner that first night. We didn't have to leave the house and we could just settle in. Then we were set up with a meal train. And even more impactful than that, it was the prayers and the check-ins and the notes of encouragement, just reminding us of our why. Because in those first, like I said, month to 6 weeks, you have a lot of moments of like, was this the right decision? And it is, but that doesn't mean that it's not hard. So to have other people who get it and they know what you're walking through and they can give you the verbiage of reminding you of your why, that is probably the most valuable thing that they've done.
As a foster parent, I know how isolating and challenging it can be to step into a space that is emotionally draining. And many times we often don't feel seen or understood by those around us. And so we began Foster Our Community, the program of Hope Bridge, really just because we needed to be with others who understood. My name is Nicole Bowman, and I am the Director of Engagement, as well as the Director of the Foster Care Program here at Hope Bridge. So a big piece of our program is providing comfort and necessity bags for families when they first get a placement. We felt it was very important that we personally deliver the bags and not just have someone else do that. And that was mainly because we know that while tangible items are important, it's also important to show up and see that foster parent where they're at. Most of the people delivering our bags are foster or adoptive moms. And so when they show up to deliver a bag, they can say, here are your well-intentionally packed items for each child, but also here's my phone number in case you have any questions. Relationships and community are a huge piece of what we do, and that first and foremost is a huge heart behind us even delivering bags and items to families.
Being in active addiction while being pregnant, living in the projects, not having support, and trying to build relationships. Once I went to recovery, it was hard. it was very, very hard because like I didn't have any support. Like I gave birth in the hospital alone. And I didn't have any friends or family that was there to like, you know, encourage me or just, you know, give me any kind of comfort.
Within the first 3 months, Mom was doing well. She was doing the things that she needed to do. She then had a tragic event take place in her life and she relapsed. And so at that point, she stopped doing the things that she needed to do to get her kiddos back.
There are moments where in this case, and I think in many cases, it feels utterly hopeless. And even as a believer, there are times of despair where you can think like, I don't even see like where God is in this. But that is where faith comes to play, because faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. So there are moments and cases where we don't even know what to hope for, and we definitely don't see it. But that's what true faith is.
When we're working with families and mentoring or just coming alongside really hard cases with families that we're connected to, we're taking that same stance of reminding them that this isn't just being a foster parent, this is spiritual warfare. And sometimes that means pushing the boundary as a foster family. And there's lots of reasons for this. Caseworkers are working at a deficit. There's not enough caseworkers. There's not enough foster families. The system genuinely is in crisis. And so, you know, I think in that, it's easy for cases to fall through the cracks. It's easy for kids to become just another case number. And for the families with the kids in the home, that doesn't happen because they're a living, breathing image bearer in our homes. And we have to be the ones to remind the system of that sometimes. And we have to be the ones that are constantly advocating. And again, as believers in the space, we have to be the ones that at the end of the day, we remember that we're answering to the Lord and we are genuinely seeking justice for the oppressed. We are bringing a voice to the voiceless and, you know, fighting for the fatherless, because that's what Scripture calls us to do.
I was grateful that I knew my kids were in really, really good hands, but it was hard for me to make that leap and to, you know, start that process over again as far as getting back clean.
Because of our relationship that we had established, I was very honest with her, as she was with me. There were moments where I knew more than anything she wanted her kids back. And I wanted that for her, but she just didn't know if she had it in her.
We just always tried to encourage her, like, we're rooting for you. We want you to succeed. We want you to, you know, get things together so that you can have your kids back.
I did a lot more internal work than I did the first time in treatment. So not only did I like get on like, you know, mental health medications and I took my recovery more seriously, I began to foster and cultivate a relationship with my higher power again that, you know, that was like very necessary. Like I like had Bible studies with the girls in treatment and, you know, I read my Bible, I prayed, I fasted. I just did a lot of spiritual tuning that was necessary in order for me to be stronger in my recovery. So I successfully completed treatment.
It was completely different this time. Her posture was different, her attitude was different. She went right to rehab and she was back in the game. She was back in the game. Her kids were in our house and we were just there cheering her on and ready to see this remarkable recovery and ready to fight alongside her to make sure that happened. About 6 months later, she was ready to reunify. That was how remarkable her recovery was. She just made leaps and bounds of changes, and we had worked with the caseworker on Angelia on a reunification process that everybody felt comfortable with. And yeah, 6 months later, we transitioned the kids back home to be with their mom.
So when I met Jalea for the first time, she was still in the process of reunifying with all 5 of her children. I could tell, even in my first interaction with her, that she had a real drive to be different, that she wanted more, not just for herself, but for her kids. And she really wanted to be a mom that her kids would be proud to say, that's my mom, and look at how strong she is and how hard she's worked. My name is Melanie Montgomery. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I serve as the Director of Programming and Social Services Support here at Hope Bridge. For our Single Moms program, I usually explain it to people that we are trying to provide support to moms in 5 key areas that we've identified. There's either a lack of resources or a lack of available supports, and so this is a place that we can come in and help to start to rewrite this narrative.
Being able to provide Jalea and her kids with a new environment was a fresh start for everybody. We don't ever want to come across as like we're saving you from something, because we know that only Jesus can save. But we do get to take part, and we're invited in as part of his plan. We get to be his hands and feet. And Jalea's move day felt like that. Felt like just this invitation from the Lord that we get to be a part of this story of restoration, this story of reconciliation.
Seeing the moms come into these homes for the first time is probably one of the most heartwarming experiences that there can be. Just a lot of them feel like maybe they don't deserve it, or they've maybe never lived in a place like this or felt so cared for by others, and to just get to play like the smallest role in that is a real honor to be part of their journey. And I just remember thinking back that I got to help do childcare for Corey and Bethany when they had her kids in care. And so thinking back to folding laundry at Corey and Bethany's kitchen table for these same little kids, and now I'm in Jalea's house and she has her kids back, and I'm folding little clothes and putting them away, and Jalea gets to put them to bed that night. I think just that whole full circle moment was probably the best experience.
The past almost year that I've been there has been just absolutely beautiful. I haven't experienced such peace of mind like in a long time. And I love waking up to a quiet, beautiful, safe, clean home and being able to like just experience life with normalcy and structure and routine. All the amenities are just something that's like, I'm working for this. I'm gonna make sure that this opportunity doesn't slip, and that, you know, I wanna not only continue to expose my children to this beautiful way of living, but also work towards me being able to provide that way of living for them, so that this transition period will not just stop here, but like we'll still continue to live at such an exceptional standard even after I complete Hope Bridge program.
Jesus saw our mess and the hardships and stepped down, moved towards us, and said, I'm going to adopt you into my family. Even though I see it's messy and hard and difficult, and you're going to forget about me and do things that I don't want you to do and not want me at times, I'm still going to adopt you and love you and care for you and walk with you and be there for you. That I'm going to welcome you into my family. I'm going to be there to protect you and serve you and love you. And that's the like privilege that we get to do the same thing, but pointing them to Jesus, pointing them to Christ, that we're not the rescuer, the healer, or we're not Jesus in this situation, but we're being his hands and feet again, that we're doing the same thing that he's doing. And that's what we're called to do. That's what discipleship is. That's what living as a believer is seeing what he's doing, what he's done for us, and being able to do that for others and point them to him at the same time. Hope Bridge is an organization about community, about coming together, about bringing others together, to walk alongside each other, to point each other towards Christ, and to carry each other's burdens in that, being the church of Acts, of walking with each other in these hard things, to care for each other, to pick each other up, and to bring joy and hope and life in hard situations.